El Niño Rains finally bring a little bit of life back into the garden, this time on a gardener's notebook. We finally got quite a bit of rain from El Niño about a week or so ago. We haven't had a rain in about a week, but what it's finally done is given our bulbs a chance to jump up here. I would say in some years, depending on the rains, these bulbs start as early as December here in Southern California. I know it's odd for those of you in more temperate climes, but it's a normal time of year for us here. But this year, they really waited until we first got this rain. Unfortunately, we got quite a few inches of rain all at one time. No major problems around us here, but there were some landslides and other issues in the mountains. Over here, we have some Paperwhites coming up here, I believe. That you can tell by the type of foliage there. And then over here, we can actually see the Leucojums, or what are called snowflakes. A lot of people out here call them snowdrops, but they're not true snowdrops, which are a G name, which I can't remember right now. But these are Leucojums, but they do grow here where true snowdrops don't. We simply don't get cold enough here. You can see another small batch of them over there, and the taller foliage in the background there. To the right is an agapanthus, but to the middle there is some more Paperwhites. Here on the right you can see some Freesias, and actually here in this area too. These are Freesias. They are a bright purple Freesia that the previous owners planted over 20 years ago now. The thing I love about bulbs is they just come back year after year after year. Even in our previous El Nino year of 1997, we didn't lose any of the bulbs. There might be some fear of rot happening and stuff like that if it gets too wet, but the garden overall seems to drain pretty well. We have one little spot that collects right by the back of the patio, but otherwise things look pretty well. Now we do have a few perennials here. There's some Gerbera daisies, that's the big leafy foliage there and there, which I'll get out of the sun so you can actually see it. Those simply grow pretty much year-round depending on the rain. They do go dormant for a time, like most everything else has in the garden during these long periods of drought. Even with the soaker watering that I do in this bed to kind of keep things alive, the whole garden has been very, very dormant, which is why you haven't seen many videos from me under a gardener's note, because there simply hasn't been that much to show. Another good sign is our sword ferns here, which were donated by some friends who live a few miles to our west. They have a whole hillsides of these, so whenever I'm over that way I grab a few more just to spread throughout the garden. They seem to do pretty well even during the drought periods. This one is on a soaker, but I don't water a lot. But this one has grown from a small patch, sort of like the one you see on the right, into this full-size sword fern on the left. And I'm thinking I might even be able to divide some of these up to spread around the garden, even from my own growth here. Also, due to the rain, you can see I haven't had a chance to gather up any of the leaves from the fall leaf drop, really. We have many, many, many mature trees on the property, and this is the type of leaf drop that we get. You see here how deep this is. Luckily, once they dry out, they seem to pick up pretty easily, so we'll gather these up, we'll put them in a leaf mode pile, we'll maybe even get our gas shredder out. It's a little bit of a behemoth to move around, but we'll get him out and mulch some of these up even more finely to go directly into the compost bin. It's one of those tasks that you sort of have to fit between the rains just to see what you can get done. I just noticed as I was walking around here that we're getting something fairly rare happening in the garden, and that is this red camellia is actually beginning to bloom. I've only seen this camellia bloom maybe 2 or 3 times in 20 years, probably due to lack of water. Maybe the water we got has really helped it along. You see the opening bloom there, and I see another. Let's see if I can find him in my viewfinder. Right there is a bud getting ready to open. So this is great. I'll make sure I come out and get some pictures of this. It doesn't happen that often, but they are these beautiful red flowers with bright yellow interior anthers and stamens, and they look almost artificial. They almost look like someone stuck a plastic flower. They're so specific and unique. But that's a good sign to see bit of life here in the garden that's been suffering quite dramatically over the last year or so. And finally, despite all of our drought and in this case a very sickly tree, our lemon tree is actually fruiting quite dramatically. I might even have enough between these, and I see a few more down there and a few more over there to the left and another group up there. I might be able to make limoncello from my own tree this year, which would again probably be a first. This tree has never done very well. There used to be a tree immediately to this side of it that shaded it quite dramatically, and that really kept it from producing much fruit at all. Now when I said sickly, I noticed on this tree the other day, although I'm seeing less indication of it now down here on the trunk, you see a little bit of a sore there. It was weeping quite dramatically on this side, as if it has an infection or some other problem. So I really wasn't expecting it to last very long, but maybe it's healing itself up a little bit, at least last a few more years. We'll see how it goes. So that's it for this episode of A Gardener's Notebook. Thanks for joining us. For more information, you can always visit the website, douglasewelch.com. There you'll find links to A Gardener's Notebook as well as everything else that I do, including Technology IQ, Careers in New Media, My Word, and A Gardener's Notebook, of course. Join us over there. Leave your questions or comments. I'd love to hear from you. You can also subscribe to us directly on YouTube. It really helps share our channel with the world. Thanks again. Until next time, keep on digging.
Heart beating fast like a tremolo strong.